Good morning, good day. Some of you are elsewhere. Let's get the stream up and running. All right, great. I see everybody. Crispy egg roll, 44 months. Why do you have to remind us of this torture that we've endured? All right, it is 9 o'clock. We have started very pünktlich. Decent talk. It has been a long time. So, first off, I want to say hello. It's been a long time. I got chat up and running again, so I'm very happy. So let's start quickly with some updates, and then I'll get to some drawing. First off, as some of you know, the reason why we haven't streamed in, or why I haven't streamed in such a long time, is I injured my hand, and so my drawing hand, and so I had two MRIs done on it, one of the hand and one of the wrist. Those are two separate visits. They can't do it at the same time. I had a ultrasound and a x-ray. So the x-ray revealed that there was no breaks in the bones. The MRIs revealed a cyst right about there. I don't know if you can see that. Right there. And that's caused by, yeah, let's do this. I feel like, all right, here we go. Drawing my left hand here. Here's my 10-minute what has happened to Jim update. Okay. This lovely hand. Oh, you know what? That's my... It looks like the wrong hand. All right, so let's do this. Is this the right? I don't know if this is correct either. Is it? Yes. Okay. All right. So there was a so you have tendons, I guess, that are connected to the fingers, and these are sort of like the chains that pull the bones, right? If the chains, and then they manipulate your hand, of course, right? And they are in a sheath, which is sort of like a sword. What's it called? A hilt? No, what is it called? A sword holder? It's holder. So here's this the sheath. What's it called? Is that it? Sheath. That's the word. Yes. Okay. Great. So here's the sheath, and the tendon goes in there. And I think the tendons are the things that connect to the bones. Yeah. And the ligaments are the ones that connected to the muscles, I think. Something like that. Anyway, so I guess this sheath ruptured and created a pocket of fluid about yay big there. And so that applied pressure to the tendons that go to these two fingers. That was what was revealed. And so as you guys saw in that video a long time ago, when I opened my hand, that's like a normal opening, right? And then with this one, it would go like that, right? So you can see this V shape. Now, it's a little more normal, right? But for the longest time, it would open like that. But if I just naturally let it open, it goes like that. I can do this with this left hand. I could do that. I could do this. And that was like my least dexterous hand. With my other hand, I could do all sorts of, like, I could do all that stuff, right? With this hand now, I can do that pretty easily because it's messed up. I can't move the middle fingers together, or the three, these three maybe, right? So it's a little tricky. That said, there's a lot. I also lost strength to these fingers, right? So I couldn't open a door handle. I couldn't shuffle cards. I couldn't use chopsticks. It felt funny. And this finger, even though I could feel it, it felt numb or dead, right? So like when I was washing my hair or something like that, the finger would like kind of cross over sometimes, like I couldn't control exactly its placement. Anyway, so long story short, because they thought it was because it was a cyst. They also didn't know if it was an aneurysm. And usually, when you hear aneurysm, you think of heart attacks, but it's just a pocket of blood. So they wanted to rule that out because you do have arteries that go through here. There's an ulnar artery, and then there's another one here. And if that were the case, they can actually cut off one of those arteries, and you would have enough blood for the hand. No big deal. That's what they tell me, right? So they did the ultrasound. They put all this goop on there, and it's just like the ultrasound that you do when a woman's pregnant. And they scanned the hand, and it did not reveal a blood pocket. So so that ruled out the a leakage from the artery itself, which is all positive. So now I got to go to rehab and physical rehab, and and I guess the cyst has reduced in size, and that's why it's better. But it can flare up again. And then, if you're wondering how did this happen, I cannot lie. So I'm pretty sure. So if there was a bottle of your favorite fermented hops and wheat and things like that, there is a way to open a bottle of fermented liquid without a bottle opener, right? And as you guys might know, you can take the lid and you rest it against something that has an edge like this, right? So it catches the tooth of the metal cap, and then you use your hand and you smash down on it like this. Okay. So so here's okay. Okay, so if you put that right there, so it catches that metal cap, and then the glass goes right there, and then you apply a force heavy to that, it will smack. The cap will catch on this edge here, and it will pop off. Boom. Right. So anyway, so I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Anyway. Oh, sorry. There we go. I'll have to move that camera in a second. And so I use my hand as a hammer. So bad idea if you are a semi or aspiring semi-professional artist, or if you're a semi-artist, aspiring artist, semi-professional artist, artist. Anyway, so I bought like 12 different bottle openers on Amazon Prime. And that's not a plug for Amazon Prime. Actually, if you have an Amazon Prime membership, you get a free Twitch sponsorship. So that's how a lot of people support the stream. So that's what happened to my hand. I'm going to stop doing that. Oh, and then I think it was exacerbated, made worse by the fact that I was like trying to bench press some weight. And it wasn't even a lot of weight, honestly. And normally you do what, like 3 reps with some time in between each rep. And I thought, like, well, I'll turbocharge my workout. And yeah, this is like 10 pounds, right? 20 plus the bar. No, it was like over 100, right? Whatever, 100 something, 120. And look at those forearms there. Okay. Okay. Anyway, so that's what was going on, I think. And the weight, this is a side shot of the bar. Here's my fingers, thumb. This is the bar. So that bar was putting pressure right on that cyst. And I think that, and I remember lifting, and I did like 5 sets, like back to back instead of doing 3 over time. I think it just really, yeah, pretty much awesome self portrait. Thank you. Anyway, so that's what messed up that. So that was a bummer, man. And but I've had similar issues before. I didn't realize they were because of the tendons. Like if I draw a lot, my fingers will kind of swell up and feel numb. But it will go away, and this is the first time it's really happened and lasted a while like that. So hold on a second. I'm gonna pull up. Actually, you know what? Let me just pull back a little bit. The other. Okay. And 1 second. Hold on. Let me get to. Oh, hold on a sec. Let's do this. Okay, we're back. All right, so let's reintroduce everybody here because we have create my comic. Is it over? No, it just started. We have yet. I don't even know what to say. So we have here for those of you who are new to the stream, we have 3 mods. Our first one is Mod Prime. Kate ist ein Bot, der in der Schweiz lebt. So Kirihiko also had a hand injury. So I hope you're feeling better, Kirihiko. So I know that she has also been trying to recover and regain strength there. And then our second mod, the crispy egg roll. And of course, last but not least, thanks Kirihiko, is Senor Piquet. All right, so we've got the introductions out of the way. And I should probably update those. Those have been around since the early days of the stream. And Belarus, hello, Dennis 4 from Belarus. I don't even know where Belarus is. Formerly of the Soviet Union. Am I close? I see someone from Korea. Anya Haseyo. Hello. Yes, I could understand that. Korean is a phonetic language, so I can sound out. I know the consonants and vowel sounds. I don't often know the vocabulary, though. This is Patrick. Hello. Got people from Brazil. I did draw a little bit while I was injured. I did a cover, which I shared on Discord. And for those of you who don't know, there is a Discord channel that supplements this stream, kind of fills in the gaps, the long gaps between live streams. I'd urge you guys to check it out. One of the mods can pop in a link there. Belarus is next to Latvia and Poland. Yes. Got it. Got India here. We got Sweden. Got France. The Netherlands. We got Mars. Someday from Mars. Ireland. Oklahoma. That's very exotic right there. Maine. Do they have internet in Maine? That's awful. Uruguay. Fantastic. Baltimore. Toronto. This is great. I feel like I'm traveling. And that is definitely one of the things I miss from during COVID. Romania, fantastic. Never been. I have not been to Eastern Europe much, to be honest. Poland is about as far east as I've gotten. Austria, as well. Did I go anywhere past Austria? Czech Republic, right? That's it, yeah. And then in terms of Africa, I've just been to Egypt, which part of the Middle East. Nassau, Bahamas, fantastic, lovely. Tokyo, Japan. Bloody Australia. And Eastern European Comic Con. Turkey, hello from Turkey. Dunkirk, France. Cape Breton. I'm just reading. Narnia, fantastic, I love it. All right, Golden Apple Comics. All right, what was I going to do a search of? I don't know. Okay, so let's go ahead and start drawing. I don't know what I'm going to draw. So yeah, I know what it was. So I did that cover. It was a Batman, what's it? Batwoman or Batman and Catwoman cover. Let me see if I can find it here. I shared that on Discord. I don't think it's been released elsewhere, but I did something that was fairly straightforward. Like a lot of black shapes, there's not a lot of fine noodling or parallel lines. And then there was some other artwork that I did for another project. So I did 2 projects, but it was slow going, a little bit every day, and then my hand would hurt and I'd have to stop. But then I would draw like things like this on notes, like if I'm on a call, sometimes I'd go ahead and sketch something like that out for fun. And then this was from the Hotel Kaminsky in Berlin. I was there maybe 2 years ago. Had to have been 2 years ago, right? And so that's what I do sometimes if I'm on a phone call. All right. Let's do, what would be kind of cool to draw? I don't know. I'm looking at chat for inspiration. I didn't even know Barry Windsor Smith had a new book. What's his new book? Can someone elaborate? Let's do no one's saying Godzilla. So I'm thinking Godzilla, or I saw in stream Mortal Kombat. Invincible is getting a lot of votes as well. Let's hold on. Let's how do we? I forgot how to do this. Oh, I know what I was looking for. There used to be a way. When I say there used to be, I mean I know there's a way to do a what's it called, a vote. I'm looking at Stream Labs. Have they built that functionality yet into Twitch itself? In my dashboard. I'm looking in my dashboard. Stream overlays, maybe. Okay. Emote wall, stream labels, viewer count, tick ticker. Poll. Here we go. All right. Okay, it's already taken too long. Okay. Obi-Wan Kenobi. All right, let's say hello to some people first. As I think about who I'm sketching, I'll have to do some more research on how to do a poll. I see it here, but I'm trying to remember exactly how it manifested. Maybe I just okay. Let's recent events. All right, Infected Rage 09 has subbed Infamous Cedric, Jorge G 4277, Holy Arts and Crafts Batman, Steel Gun, Jelly Sickle S, Jelly Sickles, Pity 83, Octopus Jars, Kanger Banger, Iron Avenger, What the Fan Art, Nadir 96, Dexstar 671, Sketch 22, Chuck Arnold 3000, Spinny G, Soulmate 727, Jake Carlson Art, Kirihiko, Crispy Egg Roll. All have subbed and supported the stream, sometimes 44 months. That would be Kirihiko and Crispy. And the most recent looks like it's Iron Avenger, 3 months, right? Or, yes, Nadir 96 has just subbed using Prime. Jeff UTV and Shelby Bagay 99. Superhero Swimmer Art has cheered. How about Baby Goats? Kanger Banger, good morning. Thank you very much, Kanger Banger. Good morning to you. Steve 3000, thank you very much for the generous bits. And Gaz N7 has also subbed for 42 months. All right. Let's do this. Maybe we have more time for more than one. But I'll tell you, Godzilla is going to be tough because it's a very unusual shape. He's got like a small head and a bigger, fatter body, or small head and a more stout body. And getting that proportion is critical. And, you know, I'm torn because the classic Godzilla was a little more narrow. And then in the latest movie, the latest movies, they've really kind of accentuated more of that pyramid shape, right? So, yeah, Godzilla, swipe Art Adams. Yes, that's the way to do it. He's figured it out. He's done a lot of it. So this is kind of, yeah, that's kind of that's what I'm thinking is the shape. So I know what I was doing before. I was gonna Google Godzilla. I have not drawn Godzilla, so I mean I've drawn him. I think I've drawn him. I know I've drawn him before, not on stream, and not professionally. I don't believe. All right. Okay. So I found some reference, and it's just where they're facing each other and fighting, right? And so Godzilla was on the left. I just flipped it. Oh, lower the exposure. Yes, yes. You know what? It's good for that. Just turning the light there like that. There we go. See the wonderful pencil strokes. And yeah. So it's actually, now that I'm looking at the drawing or the photo, the CGI photo. Okay, I'm just going to replicate what I see on the screen. And then just so I get kind of comfortable with what I'm doing. And this is just me looking and drawing. So almost like life drawing, but instead of a life model, I am looking at this image I found online. Okay. And okay. And then he's got his other hand here that's kind of in the smoke. His leg is much higher up than I would have thought. They must have found a weird person to put on this Godzilla suit. I'm trying to imagine the proportions of, someone with like long legs and a sort of a squat torso. But that's nothing compared to the hours of makeup for Kong, I would imagine, right? So, all right, let's see. And what's interesting is he seems to have a neckline here, right? Like some sort of weird vein that kind of goes that way. His whole body looks kind of like dried lava. Like the scales, they didn't do something. They went with something that's very organic looking is the word, right? And in fact, so there's stripes that go along here. That thigh is much bigger than what I drew it to be. Godzilla is, oh yes, thick is the word I was looking for before. And what is the hardest angle of a figure to draw? It's the first time drawing the figure. It doesn't matter what angle. So that's the hardest if you want. So I'm like looking at this and looking at the picture going, So now I'm going to squint and look for the silhouette, the shape, right? So I'm not drawing Godzilla. I'm drawing this thing. It's a blob. So I'm deconstructing it in my mind so I don't get psyched out by the fact that I'm drawing this, Godzilla. All right, so yeah, it's way off. It's way off. But my paper is really the way it is. Like, all right, so let's make sure we get this part correct because that is hypercritical. And then this arm is actually much lower. You guys can play along. If you just if you Google Godzilla versus Kong, you'll see this image. And I just mirror flopped it so that he's on the right, so you can see kind of what I'm doing based on the photo, the CGI. Okay, but now that can't be right. This is too long right here. Okay. So let's not draw what you think is there. Let's draw what is there. And what is there is telling me that this arm is higher up. And there we go. Okay. Then this goes there like that. The knee is about here. And that's much thicker. It's actually, now that I think about it, there is no thigh, really. And this leg probably starts further out like that. All right, and then okay. All right. I think I'm good enough to start. Maybe I'm comfortable enough that I can kind of fake my way through and make changes on the fly, as it were. This arm is still bugging me. I think it's higher up. I think I had it before in the correct spot. Okay. Okay. That looks about right. And then I do this sometimes, kind of show the angles, where the scales. I'm not going to do it a one-to-one replication. It would be very time-consuming and very kind of boring, to be honest, right? And that's the case with anything that has lots and lots of little detail, like spider webs or scales on metal armor. I just generally draw like the angle lines, right, like that, and then I freehand it. Well, if it's pencils, I will do it, but with inks, I'll typically do it while I'm inking itself. Thank you very much, Daniel J. Bosco. I appreciate it. Is there a story behind the Alan Moore painted Albert's website? Oh no, that's a super old piece that was used in a book. It was a book of people writing about Alan Moore, or it was a tribute book to Alan Moore. It was published, and that piece is in there. So I didn't write anything. I just drew like what I thought, sort of my visual representation of Alan Moore. So that's what that piece is. And he's got that snout, so it's kind of like a dog structure. And all right, there we go. All right, that's good enough. Good enough. I'm a professional artist. There is no good enough. It's either acceptable or not acceptable. When do you switch the lead pencils? Well, since I'm inking, I'm going to go straight to ink. So normally I would do this first, and that was with a lead pencil holder, right? And this is a right? It's like a pencil, wooden pencil, except the lead is held inside a metal case, metal and plastic versus wood. I don't sharpen this, even though I have a sharpener, because I want the tip to be fairly. I like it blunt like this because it's faster, and I'm not trying to approximate a single line. I'm trying to approximate shapes. So it's just kind of laying down a general composition, thinking about negative space, which is the shape around what I'm drawing. And if I need to draw a quick shadow, it allows me to go in and do that quickly, right? So that's that. And then I've got over here a Graphic Gear 1000 by Pentel plug. It is 0.5. It's like standard size. You can buy this at a Staples or any sort of stationery store, right? And it's not. It just I've got multiple kinds of pencils, mechanical pencils around. 0.5 is pretty good, and that has a sharper tip, obviously, perpetually sharp. And normally, what I would do is take an eraser, and I've shown this on stream before, but get like a large eraser like this. And it's sturdy like that because I use it flatwise. I don't use the corners as much, although you can see sometimes you use the corners, but normally I just kind of go like this over it and see how it kind of lightens everything up. and it's just kind of, right? So now I just have like just sort of the you can see very faintly kind of the lines, and then I would go in with a pencil like this and right, put one line and really kind of narrow the field, so to speak, right? Commit to a specific shape. All right, so it's not just a blob, it's a line drawing. And normally, if you are penciling for an inker, you want those lines to be as crisp and clean as possible so that there's little confusion. But the problem with that, I think, is that it does limit you to a certain style, right? It limits you to a almost digital on or off kind of approach, which is fine back in the day because printing techniques were such that it could only register a black line or a white non-black shape, right? So, and that's why you have gradations, right, that were done with brushes, right, like that. And then that's where cross-hatching came out of, right? Cross-hatching is a way of approximating a gray analog value through black and white, right? So it's black, white, and but that approximates like a 50% gray. Okay. Okay. And then I have a click eraser like this that allows me to go in and surgically remove the lines as needed, right? And that's kind of how I pencil. Okay. Now, so I go in with a he does have a beefy neck, Superhero Swim Artist, but if you look at the photo I'm looking at, it's very beefy. What happens is once I put the black shapes in there, the shadows, it's going to fool the eye. But if you look at Godzilla and the outline of him, that's what they went with. Okay. So let's go ahead and start inking. Let's go over here so it's not blocked by. You know what? Let's do something here. Let's try that. And that way I can kind of come down here. All right, let's start with that mouth line. This is a 03 marker, and I just realized more and more I cannot see. So this is part of, oh wow, now I can see it. It's so weird. I'm just drawing, it's just vague shapes. The joys of getting older. And again, it's really about drawing what is there versus what you think is there. And checking in on the original. But at the same time, you do want to personalize it. It's not about replicating this image 100% because if I wanted to do that, I would just take it print it out and lightbox it, which would not be satisfying. So people do like to see some personalization of the shape. And I have a solution which I think will speed things up a little bit. Which is, I'm going to go in after I do the head here and go in and put the shadows in with the brush. And that will be important because it will give some instant form that I can kind of play off of, and I won't be trapped to just doing everything with the line drawing, like doing all this kind of detail, and then realizing, oh, I needed a shadow in here, and I'll just end up inking over this, and I've kind of essentially then wasted my time. So I'm showing you what I would have done if I did the line work for the whole drawing first and then put the shadows in. And the goal is not to do that in this instance. Right, but we'll get the outline of the okay. Yeah, it goes out that far. It's crazy. And then, okay, now I know why that arm was messed up. He's got a little bit of a, whatever, sagging chin there. Pops out just a little bit before coming back in. Like this. And then like that. Okay. All right. And then let's go ahead and put that other hand in. Now, the trick with drawing something this large, right? And this is a massive scale, right? I'm not drawing a small reptile. It's this giant creature. Is not, in my opinion, drawing a very smooth contour line, because the idea is that it's so large you're going to see all these undulations at that size. So if I draw something that's super smooth, like a line that doesn't have micro undulations in it, I'm making it super smooth, which doesn't make sense, right? So I hope that made sense. So the idea is, as I move this pen, I'm just giving a little bit of a Alzheimer's kick. I don't know how to say it politely, but like a little more shake in the line, which is great if you just naturally do that, right? But that's to give it scale. It's so large, you would see there would be these kind of micro undulations. It wouldn't be smooth like that, right? So you can do that, but I would, and it's just a minor little thing, but it does make a difference, I think, in the way the artwork is received or taken in by the senses. Right, so I'm drawing that kind of triangular shape, the negative space, and then, okay. And then there are these large kind of almost muscle masses that I'm trying to capture that will kind of define the shapes I create using the brush later. Will be critical. Um, all right. Okay. All right. Ink. It's dark. I can lighten it up now that the. All right. So now I'm going to go in with a brush. I'm looking for a brush. Excuse me. Okay, I've got this brush. I had that brush. Okay, here's another brush. That one, this one is pretty messed up. You can tell, like, can you see it? It is haggard. But I hate throwing away art supplies, so I still use this sucker. This one is probably too thin, and look, I didn't clean it properly. It's still, no, I did. Okay, now, all right, let's go ahead and thank you very much, Joe Train 36. What up and coming indie artists do you like? Whenever newer artists are inspiring you days with their work. That's not much newer. Jorge Jimenez has been around for a while, but I really enjoy seeing his work. And Clayman, again, been around for a while, but every time they draw something new, it's always exciting to see. They're not indie; they work for DC. So, what the fet? Do you have a list of potential artists that you watch for progress, and how does one get on your list? I do not. They're not potential artists that I stalk or anything. Um, they're people I find on Instagram, just like anyone else. Not sure how they show up in the feed though. People don't really retweet or repost Instagram as much as like obviously on Twitter. Um, but on Twitter, I have this is just a water bottle cap that I use. Um, and I use a small one like this because it dries quickly. So if I have a bigger jar, I'm wasting ink. And I like holding the ink with it here. There's no way to place it on a angled table like this, so I have to hand hold it. This feels very medieval. Like I could imagine George Washington, the famous president from the medieval times. I don't know what I'm trying to say. It just feels very antiquated. You'd think there would be a modern solution to this, and there is. They're plastic brushes, like pens that hold ink inside that have a plastic nib, but I don't like Kim Jong Gi uses them. I'm not a fan myself. I don't like the line. I'm just used to this the sable hair, and that's what I've done. So what happened to my drawing? Oh, there it is. Okay, let's go back. Let's find those awesome shadows. There's one underneath his chin, so we'll just put that like it's kind of blobby, too much ink. And so I'll just use the blobby parts now to really kind of get the core shadows in. And I will, as I start running out of ink and get to a dry brush kind of vibe or feel, I will go in and do details. Right. And so it looks like I'm using a brush to fill in shapes, but I am drawing with the brush. Right. I'm very aware of the outside shapes I'm getting and what that does to the form and what I'm choosing to leave black for, or what I'm choosing to make black versus white based on this drawing. If you Google Godzilla Kong, you'll see this illustration. I mirror flopped it, but you can see sort of the choices I'm making, what I'm taking to black versus white. The image is very brown, and maybe if you squint, you'll see kind of the shadows I'm hitting. But I could do this 3 times and kind of come up with 3 different shadow patterns, depending on sort of the exposure I create while looking at the drawing and squinting my eyes. Superhero swimmer art. I don't like the lack of control I feel with the brush sometimes. Okay, so that, my friend, is that is normal. I felt the same way at the beginning. It feels like there's no strength here. It feels very like, oh, I can smash it. And it just comes to repetition and practice. The more you use the brush, you'll be able to start drawing with a brush, inking with a brush. I don't ink that much with her. I just use it to kind of fill in these large shapes, like I said, and but it's worth the investment of time. And I can already feel it, like in this ring finger here. It's starting to feel feels a little tight right there. All right. So, all right. Okay. But I'm also kind of pushing down the brush every now and then to create like a random shape. So I'm kind of lying it when I say like I'm super aware of every shape I'm doing. I am in general kind of like what I'm trying to do, but at the same time I am also kind of pushing it and trying to create those happy accidents. Trying to replicate that ragged line at the edge. So I did that. If I do one smooth stroke like that, it's going to smooth out the sort of undulated lines I was talking about before. And let's do that. Okay. And that's a super dark shadow right here. So this is hypocritical. I'm going to figure out that in a bit. But let's just go ahead and do some of the shadows I see here. How's everyone doing? We're a year plus in this pandemic. I will share with you, I got my second jab on the 20th of last month. And I got Moderna. And man, that first jab, no issues. Like soreness in the arm for several hours, like a Charlie horse, no big deal, honestly. My wife felt it for a couple days. She's just more sensitive to everything, I think. But then when I got my second jab, I definitely felt like I had the flu. All my joints kind of ached. I felt very tired. I kind of just would lay down and fall asleep, you know. But that lasted like a day and a half, and after that, I felt fine, and just very excited to kind of get back to kind of the normalcy of life. It is a little anxiety-provoking seeing kind of the second wave, third waves, fourth waves in other parts of the world. And so it's going to be an ongoing thing. There is no normal to get back to for quite some time, I think. But I think we have been able to kind of introduce some normal activities back into our lives. And actually booked a flight for the first time in over a year. So come June, I can take a vacation. So good things to come. All right, and then right here is a divot. Pretty dark shape right there. In the dog zoo. Oh, Jim, you've opened a can of worms. Well, look, dude. I can't even get started, honestly. Yeah. I'll just leave it there. I'm sharing my experiences. If you believe that, well, here's the problem. If you believe differently and you act differently, we're just going to be stuck in this pandemic for a lot longer. That's all I can say. A lot longer. So yeah, all my kids that are 16 or older have gotten the shot now. Actually, our 16 Mason is due for his second shot soon, and he did not have a good reaction to that first one. I'm not gonna lie or sugarcoat it. He got the shot and he immediately started vomiting. I don't know why I laughed, but he was fine after that. And they say that part of this is that if you're younger and healthier, your body's going to react more strongly because you have a stronger immune system. So when you're old and kind of on your last legs like myself, it's like it's going to have less of an impact. That said, I've talked to other people that are older and they've had a lot worse, and some people had hardly any reaction on their second jab. So it is very, which makes sense. It's very different for each person that is getting it. Okay, I'm going to pop this shadow in here. Let's go all the way and let's see what happens if I do that. Yeah, left legs. You know you're on your last legs. I'll just is when you start planning backwards. Think about that. Um, so someone like superhero swimmer Art at the beginnings of his life, really just an infant toddler in life if you think about it, even though he just graduated high school, man child, right? Man child. I mean that in the most positive way, right? Like all you see is ahead of you. Like, okay, and I'm going to go to college. I'm going to do this for 3 or 4 years in college, and then after college, I'm going to do this, and then after that, I'm going to get married and have kids, or whatever your life plan is. It's always like forward, 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 right? There you go, kangaroo banger. Um, I'm at the point where, and maybe I'm just weird, but I'm planning backwards. I'm like going, realistically, how much time do I have left in life? And it's not something, look, we should all be asking this question because anything can happen to us, right? So it's not necessarily a bad exercise to go through. But I'm definitely on the back nine, as they say, if you golf. And so, and I've shared this like online, like, all right, how many more conventions can I physically do? I don't want to be like Stanley, bless his soul, that was going to conventions when he was like 94, 95. Like, I mean, his handlers had him essentially, I don't know why he was doing it. I don't get it. But anyway, so you get what I'm saying, which is, all right, if you start creating these rules for yourself, all right, I want to work till I'm of this age. And I pretty much decided, look, I want to draw forever, right? Whether I do it professionally or on a regular gig, I don't think there's ever a regular gig in my future. I don't know. But anyway, um, if I did that, I would do it for X period of time, right? And then after that, there are other things I'm going to focus on. And so if you do that, I guess it can be depressing, but it gives you incredible focus, I think, and it does make you go, okay, if I only have this much, like that is the question, right? If you only have, let's say you have 5 years to live, what would you do with your 5 years? It probably would not be what you're doing now. So it obviously that kind of exercise does make you think and assess what it is that's important to you, what you want to achieve, and um, I'm in my late 50s, so I still have a fair amount of time, and it gives me comfort to see people that are octogenarians, people in their 80s that are running companies, and I mean, I bless them. I don't know why, but maybe when I'm 80, I'll go like, why not? Um, but I do have sort of a plan in my head, And I don't know how I got on this tangent, but had something to do with Clayton. Oh, this is what happens when you get older. You forget what you're talking about. So, yeah, so there's that. I'll just leave it with that. All right, so you can see the shadows I'm creating, the blobs, okay? I definitely know there's another big run on something I want to do, right? That'll be kind of my swan song, like one more 12 plus issue run on something, and maybe two of those, maybe three at the most, but definitely one. And sometimes, life will kind of tell you that's a great idea, but that's just not the way it's going to be. And like this injury to my hand was definitely a moment of reflection. Like, okay, if I can't do this, if it doesn't heal, if it's worse, what am I going to do? At one point they were thinking, well, is it arthritis? And so we looked at that. When I shared that X-ray, you could see that I dislocated my thumb in high school playing football. It was a ball that was slightly deflated. Tackle football, that's how we had to play in high school. And I got tackled. I was a running back, and my thumb went into the ball like this. And so this part of my thumb was sitting on this part of my hand. And so my thumb was about half as long and twice as thick. And I got up, and it just looked odd. And they took me to the emergency room. And the he looked like a doctor, but now thinking about it, he was probably like an intern, right? He was probably a medical school student that worked there and as an intern, right? And he said, "Okay, let me take a look at this. I think I can fix this." And he put his body between my hand and me. So imagine a man standing in front of me with his back to me, my hand around here, and he has my hand in front of him, and he basically took it and yanked it out and popped it out, and it was back. And then they put a cast on it, a fiberglass. It was a new fiberglass thingy it's like liquid fiberglass gauze, and you put it under UV light. It hardens, and it's lighter and more comfortable than a plaster cast. And I wore that for a while till the bone set. But that's how they fixed it. And if you look at the X-ray, it shows, right? It was not, if only he knew. I should have said, like, someday I will be a professional artist. Is this the best way to treat that? Popped it out, right? So not a lot of consent, but he did fix it. Wow. I once snapped my finger in the ear hole of a halfback's helmet as I went over on top and hit the. Yeah, that sounds painful. Yeah, I was a halfback. 9-back, as they were. I don't know. We all had numbers. Like 91 sweep would be ninth player through the left side, I think. Okay. I enjoyed it. Playing football was a lot of fun. Tackle football, a lot of fun. I've done team sports and I've done individual sports, and team sports are definitely the way to go. Swimming, by far the hardest sport. So I do give props to Clayton, superhero swimmer art, because in my school, it was a very small school, like 62 people in the graduating class, my class. So to field any teams, like everyone had to play. It was this scholar athlete approach. And so in 7th and 8th grade, middle school, before high school, which was 9th grade, in the winter they required, in the fall, everyone had to play tackle football. That was it. And if you didn't want to play tackle football, you would be the manager and carry the water bottles out. There were 2 slots for that. Everyone else then played. And so then in the winter, you had 3 choices in high school, which was swimming, wrestling, and basketball. But in middle school, 7th and 8th grade, they give you the choice. You could choose, and so they made you. they would split up the winter season into thirds, and so 1/3 you're playing basketball, 1/3 you're wrestling, and 1/3 you are playing basketball or swimming. So I did the swimming thing, played water polo. It is like swimming in place, getting enough height to throw a ball, then you're not allowed to touch the ground ever, even on the shallow end. I mean, talk about exhausting. That said, if you wrestle for 6 minutes, that is also super exhausting. Actually, sports in general, exhausting. Drawing, not so exhausting. That said, if you are a professional artist, there are times where it does feel like a contact sport, like I'm up all night drawing in it. I definitely feel it, the physicality of it. My blood pressure will go up, I'll start to sweat if you really get into it. But you can do it very leisurely too. It's kind of like how much do you want to physically exert yourself? Superhero swim art. My knee joints are messed up. Yeah, that's a young age to have knee joints messed up. Yeah, so all the injuries I have are from high school, right? I wrestled in college for one year. That was enough. But yeah, this thumb, it feels weird at times. I tore my cartilage here in my rib cage, and that cartilage actually stuck out of my frame for a long time. It's now kind of back in place. Yeah. My knees are messed up. When I wake up, my knees are not like super strong, right? It's hard to bend down. Again, the joy of aging. All right, so what I'm doing here is I'm looking at this drawing, and it's black here, and then it's kind of light here, and then so in my mind, I'm gonna drop this shadow, connect to this shadow, and this shadow here, I could go all the way and blend it into that arm, and I could do that later. It's always easy to add more shadows. It's a little harder to subtract them. You have to use whiteout. So the goal is I'm gonna put that there and then blend it out. Same thing here, I'm going to blend it out in my head, and then even here, this is going to kind of get blended to kind of show the form. And then see how the brush now, like I was saying before, I was going to basically wait till the brush gets a little drier, and I can get different kind of shapes and textures. And now I'm in that dry brush zone, and you can see I can kind of create these weird shapes that would have been challenging when the brush was more fully loaded. Okay. And then down here, I'm imagining that, like in the image, there's like all the smoke and rubble, which would make sense given the size of and kind of crushing the city. And so it's going to go to a white. I'm going to do a gradation there, and I can either do it through dry brush, or I can also kind of mirror it or approximate it using whiteout splatter, or a combination of both, and I'll probably do both, because why not? The other way, there's a third way, which is just to do it all black and then tell the colorist, can you put a fade on that, or do a splatter in black ink and then give it to the colorist to reverse and then put as an overlay to create a very controlled white haze on it, right? Because you can control what that black plate looks like that's reversed, so it's not just random. Like if I splatter on the original, it's pretty random, but I don't mind. I'm down with the happy accidents. So see how this brush is really dry now, and if I apply some pressure, I get like a black shape, but if I just kind of noodle it, it gets kind of gray, and I can do that. And so this is how you kind of approximate kind of an underlight or haze without using whiteout and splatter. And if you do this and you're not gonna if you try this for the first time, you're probably not going to get the control that you like. It's not going to give you the results that you need. And what does that mean? It means you need to just do it more and practice. It's just hand-eye coordination. It's muscle memory. Now I can feel it in my pinky. My pinky's starting to feel like the same thing. Tears FN. Did you ever meet Alex Ross? I have. I've had dinner with him in Chicago. The comics industry is very small. At some point, you'll meet everybody, especially at conventions. The best ones are international shows. And the reason why is if you don't speak the local language, there's not a lot of people to talk to. So other creators, American creators, are the ones you're going to be hanging out with. They tend to kind of shuttle everyone together. You know, they'll come to the hotel, pick you up at the same time, take you to the convention, take you out to eat. You know, they show you around. American conventions, you're left to kind of fend for yourself. So international shows are more like they're not quite like summer school, summer camp, but it has that kind of vibe a little bit. Okay. His hand is black. So I'm going to go ahead and put some more shadow here. But I'm going to leave it white. Artistic license. So if you look at the image and you squint, like you could completely do this hand in black silhouette. But I'm not. Okay. All right, what else am I going to... Let's make there's like a Y shape here. I want to make more pronounced. Okay. Guys with me? And then up here. Okay, now see how it's when I dry brush, like the brush is like all mangled like that. So the way to fix that is you dip it back into ink, load it up, go into an area that's already black, and just kind of roll it like that to approximate a nib, or yeah, a point. Okay, there we go. And now the eye glows, so that's the underlight hitting the brow, but I'm going to go all the way to black because I'm going to put a little splatter, not a credit card splatter of whiteout, but probably a toothbrush, which is giving me a finer spray to kind of make it look like the eye's glowing a little bit. Maybe, I say maybe because it's so small, I don't know if it's going to even show up. So I got to, you know, take into account, like sometimes the special effects have to, the droplets of whiteout are going to be so large, it might not work. That might be something you would do in Photoshop, right? And just apply like a light source there. So it's great having these resources and things to think about as you're... And that's something I didn't do early on in my career, right? You were just thinking of like black and white and maybe a color overlay at times, but now, you know, you're thinking like, do I draw the sky? Is it done fully in color? Do I, you know, do I splatter the mist and smoke, or is it done in color? Right, so... And there are advantages to both. It's probably the equivalent of like in a movie, like CGI versus practical real effects. Like everything went CGI for a while. And now there's a premium, I think, on doing like special effects that are actually real, right? And audiences seem to like it. So before it was like, oh, show us CGI. Now it's like, show us something that's real that looks like CGI, you know. So okay, let's turn this. Like, see this big shape here? This is the thigh. It's coming out at us and then falling down. So I'm going to go ahead and, even though it's not in the original, I'm going to go ahead and drop that shadow in on the calf. What I assume is the calf of Godzilla, and then fade it out into nothing there. And then that would allow me to go ahead and add some shadows here that don't exist in the drawing or in the photo that I'm looking at, but I feel are essential to creating this depth, which is the rest of the tail kind of going that way. All right, does that work? You guys follow? Am I making sense? Am I talking to myself? Okay. And the reason why I use water bottle things like this is that when I get to a certain point, although I am wasting water, I usually just drink it and then I fill it with tap water, which I won't drink in California. Like that. So Ninpooch, what's wrong with tap water in California? Look, I will get a shot of a vaccine that was rushed through production in a year before I drink tap water in Southern California. It's because it's piped in from Colorado. Right, the water is very, I don't know if it's hard or soft or whatever it is. It doesn't. It's not a good taste. Over seasoned, yes, correct, yes. It's got. Is it okay if you drink the water filtered by your fridge? I don't know. I don't know. Okay, so let's recap, to review. Here we are. We are an hour and 15 into the process. So you can see the sort of the advantage of doing something like this, right? It quickly gives you form, and now I can just go in and add the details, and that would, my guess is it'll take half an hour to an hour. I was going to say half an hour, and then I said an hour because I know sometimes this takes longer than I say. And then there's also going to be kind of smoke and debris coming up this way, and whether I do it with tissue paper or just draw sort of a cloud outline, or in mixed media like this, I could do it with pencil. So I have a number of different possible solutions. Okay, so. There you go. Sorry. I just moved out. I zoomed in a bit so that you can see closer. Okay. And I moved the chat window. But I want to zoom in just so you can see the detail now of what I'm going to do. All right. So let's start with the head here. And I'm going to turn it to an angle that's... So I do this. That feels good to my fingers. yokai artist. Oh my God, Godzilla. Now you see it. It'd be funny if I just started. If I said I did. If I just started drawing and not tell and didn't tell you and drew this upside down, just start doing kind of shapes. Would you be able to tell? I mean, obviously with that, but like with that, you might just go, "What is that he's drawing?" Okay. So here's the proof of concept, right? I've laid down the white areas. I've laid down the pure black areas. There's some gray areas. I'm going to use this now to go in and add detail and gray areas. And I'm going to do it in one section to kind of show the level of detail I need to make this work. And then once I'm happy with that, I will take it and expand it out throughout. So it's really taking a narrow slice of the drawing, finishing it to the final end to see kind of the density of the lines, the level of detail. Then if I'm happy with that, taking that sliver I've created and then broadening it out. It's a very common thing like game design and projects, like especially big projects. You don't know if it's going to be any good at the end. You want to make sure that you take a piece of it and fully realize it and then go like, okay, that's great. Now I can just scale it up and just, copy and repeat and be confident that you're going to end up with something that you're happy with. Okay. Okay, let me see. Okay, how do I? Okay, now. All right, here we go. Guys ready? All right. Now I'm looking at this head. It's actually like there's another thing that's happening right here. It's almost like a V. Okay, and then I want this. So what I'm doing, it's hard to show here, is for grays, I'm kind of creating this texture across the skin. If you can see that, right? Now I'm going to cross hatch it there. Didn't like that, so let's make it a little more organic looking and not parallel lines. So it's more blobby. Okay. And then fill the page 88. I just Googled Godzilla and Godzilla versus Kong popped up. So I just hit it. I just needed a shot of what he looked like for the proportions mostly. So and then I wanted him to look this direction, so I just mirror flopped it. So you guys can all have the same access to the reference I'm using. And I'm a little trepidatious, right? I'm a little cautious. Like, as you can see, I'm kind of feeling my way through this drawing because I'm not 100% sure how I want to handle like the skin textures. It's just a bunch of blobs like this, different sizes. Is it gradation like that? Is it a combination of all those things? So let's see what happens. And then it's good every now and then to look at the source material, right? Even if I'm gonna deviate from it. There is a big black shape there. Okay. The guy with a cat. I have not seen the new Mortal Kombat movie yet. I will though. I'm just behind. Something like that. That is a self-watch. That's not something I'd watch necessarily with my younger kids or my wife. And so I have to find my own damn time. uh, Self-watch. Yes. Most of the stuff I watch, I try to watch either with my kids or my wife. There's not a lot of things I just watch. There's things I have to watch for work. That's usually a self-watch experience. Stream a self-watch. I could. Steve 3000. Do you have your own time? Not a lot. That's part of the problem. All right, let's say hi to some folks. Syrixian has subbed to the stream. Thank you very much. 31 months in a row. Funny Bob 85, Jeremy L. Joe, Baba Mahaga, and Rapo Socks, Bedlam Neck, Tooth, Zayu, Jedi B311, Mike White Robot, Why He, not Josh Shinu, have all sub and support the stream. Thank you very much. And then I want to thank Joe Train 36 and Buddha Finger 1974 and Bilmus and Jorge 420 4277 for the cheers. I appreciate the support. Thank you very much. Buddha Finger says my dad got back into painting when he was 65. He's been doing it for a decade now. Keeps his mind agile. Yeah, I mean that's at the end. And I imagine a lot of painting in my life. I really enjoy it. It's so different from drawing in black and white, and it's something I've always wanted to explore more of. Gotham City Vigilante Woo 9 months. Thank you very much for subbing using Prime for 9 months. I appreciate it. Joe Train asks, when you're doing interior art, do you prefer the Marvel method or the DC method? Initially, I was brought into the industry using the Marvel method, right? That started at Marvel. Got pretty adept at it. And so working full script was a chore. Like, oh my gosh, this is too much detail. But then after you do that for a while, I'm just pulling out these dark shapes into white a little bit more to create that sense of turning the form and creating a nice gradation from the pure blacks to a thinner black to white. And so it'd be hard to go back to working Marvel style, I think, for me at least. Gotten used to working full script. But again, it's just like anything, just repetition and and experience. If I started working back Marvel style, you know, off of synopses rather than full script, I'm sure it would all come back to me pretty quickly. All right. So I'm going to erase the pencils on the head here. And you can kind of see without the gray lines underneath exactly what I've created. And it's kind of noodly, it's kind of busy here. Like this I like, this is busy for no reason. So I'm going to go to black here. And so it's more of a gradation from a pure black to a middle kind of, just kind of simplify the shapes a little bit. Make that nose pop a little bit more, right? Sorry, got a message. Okay, sorry. Okay. All right, so with this, I've got this head shape, right? Imagine this is Godzilla, right? Shadows underneath here, makes sense. Light up here, right? I mean, this is actually a pretty good approximation, right? You see the shadow here, that approximates here. So this is roughly the shape of it all. So if you see it, you can kind of, like, it's lighter up here, darker down here, pops back out. So what I'm thinking is leave this white up here and then kind of go to a gray down here, and you make it more gray by adding lines, right? I'll make sure I've got my reference up too, so I don't mess up this this vein on his side of his head here. Okay, great. You know, when my fingers are messed up, it was actually hard to even just type on a keyboard. So I was doing almost all my email off my phone, off using my thumbs. I don't know what brought that up. Okay, so do you see what I'm saying? Like this is like it's popping out the head a bit more, right? Grand Admiral Burtis, you're working from the DMV on a Sunday. Good to see you. Waiting in line at the DMV, right? Um, Hi, Emmanuel. Can you talk about how much you were drawing before you got the job? I was drawing every day, right? And when I say every day, I mean Monday through Sunday. I had a drawing board next to my bed at my parents' home. So after I graduated from college, I moved back in with them. Set up a very small drawing table, which I had for many, many years actually thereafter, and it was set up right next to my bed, like maybe 5 feet away. So I would roll out of bed and sometimes just start drawing, sit down and start drawing right away. I wouldn't give myself um, the opportunity to find something else to distract me from what I wanted to do. And I would draw uh, 8 to 10 hours a day till my knuckles were hot and swollen. And then a nerve back here, my right shoulder was pinched. So that's what I remember those early, early days. But I was drawing, I was trying to pretend like, okay, all right, I was like, literally the conversation I had was, all right, Jim, so you think you want to be a comic book artist? That's a great dream, but you do know what it means, right? Like you'd be drawing 23 pages a month. Can you even do that? Like, let's not even worry about whether they pay you or hire you. Can you, like, do you have it within you to do that? So I was pretending like I had the job already, like I'd already gotten hired, and I had a daily deadline, and so, but that was a really good idea in that it really um, showed me kind of the level of commitment I had to make, right? And it prepped my body physically for what I would need to do going forward. So, sorry, got messages. Okay, hold on a second. Very popular this morning. So I'm doing these little render lines now. It just creates more gray as I go from that white top down to a blacker kind of neck, base of the neck. See what I'm saying? Every little line creates a little more of gray value, darkens the. Now you don't want to do that gray approach to the whole drawing because what happens is it flattens out. So you want to have it go to a shadow and then pop it with white right next to it. That's like the best contrast, and you'll get like some really awesome three-dimensional forms out of it, which is what you live for when you're drawing in black and white. All right? It's like on a face. Um, if you, all right, if you have shadows. Hopefully you guys can see this, right? All right. Um, okay. It's Greg Capullo. A good one. So if you have a face that's mostly in shadow, it's nice, with white out to come in and, pop those highlights in, like right where it's darkest there, like that. Does that make sense? Right? See how those shadows like make that lip and pop up, right? So rather than flattening it all out, you flatten it out and then you pop those white shapes in there, and that gives you your three-dimensional form. So this is like the dark area, and then I've just really am focused on that head and popping the white triangular shapes that I see there out. So the lines I'm drawing with this marker do three things, right? They provide detail, they create gray values, and they create form, right? Three different things, right? So there's detail, scale, but it also creates a slight darkness, and the angle at which I put it has created, it reinforces this sort of cleft, right? So think about that as you guys are inking. Do you guys already think that? Am I saying something that's super obvious? You know? My son loves Godzilla. Yeah, my kids do too. It's weird, we went in and watched my 7-year-old, 9-year-old, right? We started with Kong Skull Island, which is my favorite of all these, right? It had the most personality, soundtrack, and everything. They all have like bad language. It's a little weird. Like, I mean, whatever. It's 2021, but it's kind of like, what's with it? And it was just like one or two instances every movie. And then the Gareth Edwards movie was great too. I enjoyed that one. And yeah, they just loved sort of the misunderstood monster, even though like he was obviously just killing hundreds of thousands of people as he's kind of wandering through these buildings. Like my daughter's like, "Oh, he's so adorable." But they liked all the monsters. The Mothra, I think, they liked a lot. Ghidorah, they liked a lot. The whole mythology of it all. Where do they go from here? It's like Mecha Kong, Mecha Godzilla, Son of Kong. I think they have maybe an outer space invasion, right? Like Ghidorah, I think, is supposedly from another planet, right? So what if there's, I don't know, I just put a random triangular shape there. Now these lines are pretty abstract. Like, I mean, it speaks to the texture, the scales, but I'm just coming up with like interesting shapes using line. Taking some of the blobs I put down with the brush, connecting them up, making them into something, creating interesting kind of just graphic, noodly shapes that, in and of themselves, don't really say anything. But when you combine them all together, it creates an interesting sort of tapestry of visual interest, right? If I do the same thing over and over, it's going to look flat and plain. So if you zoom in on any area, you're going to see different shapes and patterns. And now I'm still looking back at the original, and there, you know what? There are large. They're like very large, like sort of like they look like scabs. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and outline some of those. So this is what I was saying in terms of like form and detail. And we'll be careful not to create too much gray there because that's a white area. So I'm going to suggest it. And then as we turn the form and go down here into the shadow more, those shapes are going to get more pronounced and darker. I realize this is slow. I'm really kind of walking you guys through the whole steps of this. But it's been a while since I streamed. I was like, didn't I draw faster than this before? Half a loaf. How much do you draw with 3D space in mind, and how much of it is just random triangular shape? So it's both, right? That's what I was trying to say. It's like, on one hand, I know I'm creating something very, it's just a weird shape. But on the other hand, I want that shape to reflect something when you look back on the whole of it all. And to me, that is sort of the crux of art. It's like, I'm just drawing lines on a piece of paper. Those lines are tricking you into seeing an object that doesn't exist. It's imaginary. It's just, you know, you're identifying this as Godzilla through the trickery of the lines I've put on this piece of paper. If I reassemble the lines in a different shape, you're going to see something else, right? None of this exists. I'm just creating the illusion of it, but I want to do it in a way that is stimulating to the eye. So you look at a lot of modern art, I think that's kind of the core of it. Like someone like Chuck Close, if you look at his drawings or his paintings, sorry, if you get up super close, the shapes and the colors are just crazy weird, and then you step back and you see the form, you see what he was creating. It's incredible. Okay. Brohawk 2K, do you have any other type of art release like sculpting, painting, or music? I have no musical ability. My musical ear is so bad. No skills there. Sculpting, I've tried. Not. There's something both. I've tried both digital sculpting and with clay, and it's too much to me. Like I'm trying to create reality using reality. So if that makes sense, right? I'm physically creating something that exists in the physical space, three-dimensionally. Likewise, what I like about drawing and painting is that I'm creating something in a two-dimensional space that creates probably a better reflection of that 3D space object than an actual sculpture itself. If that makes any sense. Mr. Ra 99, profound. Yes, yes. When you're asking profound questions, you get strange answers. But painting to me is even more abstract, I think, because look, you can paint something that looks photorealistic, you can draw something that looks photorealistic, but I love it when the painting really uses different colors or values than the reality, but it creates almost a better version of that reality than reality itself. If that makes any sense. It's kind of like an example of that to me is like the army when they created their camouflage patterns. For a long time, they were smooth and gradated, not gradated. They were smooth and pattern, right? Whether it was the tiger or woodland kind of camouflage pattern. Then they digitized it, right? They pixelated it. And from a distance, that actually looked more realistic because it broke up the lines more in a way. Whereas if it was a clean line, it was more noticeable um, from a distance. Anyway. Okay, now I'm just using the lines to create value, grayness. All right. I've added the kind of the detail of the scale. Now I'm just going to go in and try to make this a little darker. And I was doing a lot of these with like the 60 for 60 sketches, right? Can you see that? All right, and see how that looks. It just creates this nice gradation there. And so we don't make it super smooth. I still may add some little dits and dats, right, to kind of show that there's the scale. It's not a smoothly contoured surface. And maybe I'll add some shadow behind each of these scales here. Okay. Now I'm going to remove the gray pencil because I feel like it's competing with some of the work I'm doing. So you can kind of see how it looks. All right. So this is kind of like what it like to me. It's finished, and I'm and now take that. I've done it kind of in this area, and I need to do it over here, 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 and it's just a matter of kind of doing the same thing. Aardvark pepper. Oh look, it's a picture of me before lunch. Exactly. Before lunch? All right. Take care of yourself. We need you around. All right. What else do we have here? Zave Federer fan has cheered. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Winta has gifted a sub to Domo Statin. Domo Statin. Hey Domo, I didn't know you were here. I'm sorry. I must have missed you in chat. Fantastic artist. Also streams. Art Sorcerer, Steve 3000, Main Man, Lobo. Oh, he just hosted. The others have subbed and support the stream. I appreciate it. So we have 8 minutes left. Can I finish in 8 minutes? What do you guys think? If I maybe stop pontificating. Matthew Bobby, yeah, I like baseball a lot. To show like I know it's like a dated, and then live sports like if you can see like hockey or baseball and or hockey or basketball in person. I don't like watching it on TV. It looks very kind of slow and I don't know, too far away from the action or something. But when you see it live, and I've had the good fortune of getting very close up, like it's so much fun, like to see that athleticism and speed and grace and baseball. Though I can watch on TV, it's just something that just moves so slowly. It can take your time with it, you know. But baseball also live is fun. Like the sounds, like a lot of the sounds of the people yelling, the crack of the bat. It's not quite, you know. TV doesn't do it justice. Football, even I've seen it live. You still kind of. I've never been like on the sidelines. That would be pretty cool. But from a distance, you lose some of the viscerality of it all, I think. Geeks World Gaming. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, we got like 10 minutes left here. And I'm just going to go ahead and see how close I can get to getting this done. I will share, I'm going to do one other thing though, which I'll just go ahead and spoil the, someone had suggested in chat, but it was actually something I had planned on doing anyway. All right. Okay. Hold on a second. There we go. This is going to have to be a Kieran beer, just to make it culturally appropriate. All right. And then this hand. Hopefully that makes sense. I'll pull it back so you can get the full picture here. Okay. And of course he needed a sharp edge to snap that against. So let's go ahead and creak in some buildings here. Although we're going to lose that bottle cap. You know what? Let's put it right here. There's that bottle cap. And then this will just become a shape. No one will get this. Except you all. So yeah, I've been thinking about the stream a lot while I was away, and obviously we're going to get back to a more regular cadence, very focused on the art. And I think one of the things I definitely liked about what we did before is that I drew a lot of stuff I normally wouldn't draw, like other characters that from the world of anime, manga, different universes. You know, I've drawn Batman enough times, I think. I mean, never say never, of course, right? But I'm just saying, that's kind of where my head's at. So, like Mortal Kombat, Godzilla, The Crown, still need to do that, right? So, I'm going to have to make these beefier, these lines there, sorry. Okay. So here's what we're gonna do, because we're running out of time, and I do have a hard out. I have some family stuff I got to do. I'm gonna finish this up next stream, but because you guys have been such a great group and have sat through my ramblings, I'm gonna give this away to a sub in chat now. We'll finish it away and we'll send it to that person after we're done. Okay, but it's mostly done. You get the gist of it, right? All right. But there's going to be other cool stuff that I plan on doing, right? So I got to figure out exactly what I'm doing up here. But I did want to do like the atomic breath. But then if I put black here, I'm going to lose that shape. So I don't know. I might just do it with like a pencil or like an outline. But I'll figure that out next stream with you guys. All right. So I think next weekend is Mother's Day, but I think Saturday is a likely day to kind of just finish this up and start something else. There's a bunch of things I want to do for charity, which I'll do on stream as well. Excuse me. So there's plenty to come, and I just appreciate you guys all checking this out and being with us. And I want to thank our mods, right? Kirihiko, who is up late, making sure that this all runs very smoothly. I cannot exaggerate really how much they do for the stream and just keeping the chat running civilly and and all the work they do on Discord and making sure that this all happens smoothly. So the Kirihiko, and then obviously Crispy Egg Roll and Poop Kid, PK as we like to call him. So thank you, mods. Also, we are going to raid someone afterwards. Raiding is a very common thing here on Twitch, where people go and find someone else that's streaming and they kind of drop in on them, sort of like a bunch of pirates getting on a ship and attacking someone else's ship, and not attacking, helping them sail it, I guess, or joining in. And so we try to find other creatives, because mostly on this service, on this platform, you see a lot of gamers, right, which is awesome. I watch them as well. But it's good to have some creatives to support. So let's figure out who we're going to give away to. Let me go to Nightbot for very quickly. So it's going to be subs. Okay. Active user, right? Am I doing this right? Let's do this. Active user. All right, subs. All right. All right, so there's going to be a keyword that you need to type in. The word will be Kirin, K-I-R-I-N, all lowercase, K-I-R-I-N. So if you are a sub, please type that in. All right. Wait. Oh, I cannot figure this out. If you're not, okay, I'm having issues with the Nightbot here. I'm not understanding exactly. All right. So basically, if someone wins and they're not a sub because I can't figure out this Nightbot app all of a sudden, we will redo it. So just make sure you're a sub when you type in Kieran, and of course we'll verify. All right. Okay, guys. Good luck with it all, and here we go. The winner is I don't think Rose 001 is a sub. Or are they? They are not a sub. That's right. Okay. All right, let's redo that. Apologize. What is not? All right, you know what? Let me get rid of that. All right. I think yep. Okay, I got it figured out. Sorry. It's weird because when you toggle on Nightbot, you don't know if you're untoggling or toggling. It doesn't highlight in the way that you would think. So here we go again. Sorry for that, Rose. All right, Xenospectre. Yes, definitely a sub. Following since July 5th of last year, a COVID follower. Xenospectre. Congratulations. All right, so we will get your information, and then after I finish this next stream, there is a not inconsequential amount that for shipping. If you're, I think it's $40 or something like that. If you're over to get the art sent out to you, but I would advocate that you look past that. All right, so here we go. We're gonna go raid someone. Thank you guys for tuning in, and time permitting, we'll obviously finish this next stream. We'll definitely finish this, and there might be another one that we do. But thank you guys for tuning in, and have a great Sunday. Let's go raid this person here.